My name is Mpho Vackier. I am a furniture designer and product designer. I'm also the creative director of the Urbanative, a furniture and product design studio based in Johannesburg. The Urbanative is a contemporary furniture design studio, but we do more than that. We tell stories through furniture. We tell African stories through furniture. Most of our furniture is inspired by African stories and heritage and culture. And I think more than anything, we endeavor to tell stories of African culture so that they're not forgotten. And for me personally, with my son being both Belgian and South African, it's very important for me to know that he belongs to kings and queens and magicians, you know. So I tell specifically these stories for him so that he can go overseas and he's proud and he knows who he is and he knows who his people are. A lot of cultures really get lost because nothing is written down. And with what we do here at the Urbanative, we're really just trying to preserve what we can, the way that we can, by telling the stories that we do through our pieces. Our recent collection, our hair collection, our African crowns collection, is inspired by traditionally African hairstyles from the very top of Africa, from the very top of the continent to South Africa, to like Zulu women in the 1930s, the 1940s. The things that we took from those traditional hairstyles, the textures that we took, and we translated that into products through weaving, you know, or using fringe, or so all of those aspects of the inspiration, texture, color, form, you know, all of those things, we took those things and then we said, okay, great, but if you really wanted to design a chair that was relevant and relatable to the modern client, these are the things that you would need. And it's a constant balance because I'm always changing the piece of furniture, but it's like this constant thing of you trying to make these two things come together and collaborate and make things that are relatable but still look like, oh my gosh, this looks so cool, I would have never thought about it. I think what sets our work apart is who's telling the story. Because I am me, and everything that I am and I have learned is infused in my work, you know? I'm a mother, but I'm also like super practical. So when I design, it's like, okay, it looks great, but it's functional, you know, like, because we're not trying to design things that are just pretty. But I think what also infuses into the work that we do is the inspiration, you know, what inspires us and how we then take those inspiration and relay them into functional pieces that have an aesthetic of their own and I guess a language that's distinctly the Urbanative. So we constantly also walking the line between like technology and like new materials, but using them in old ways. Our Nasara screen, the very first one, had telephone wire that was weaved to look like traditional basketry, you know. So I'm constantly always exploring like, okay, so I don't have this or I don't have access to this, what can we use that we have now in order to make what we want to achieve? And I think that's maybe what is so different about what African creatives do, you know. They have what they have and they work with that, but they really explore and they push it. What I would like to see moving forward in the future, in the space, is more collaboration. Personally, as a brand, I'd like to be able to collaborate more with brands within the continent. I mean, of course, I'd like to collaborate with international brands, but I think there are certain things and nuances that me as a South African could never understand about designers in another country in Africa. And I think there's so much to learn from that, and they're just next door, right? So maybe before we go over the sea, maybe we just go over the border. I think people in Africa have always been creating, and I think we've always just been doing what we do. I mean, if you look at just the history of basketry in Africa, that alone, it's art. I mean, there are amazing craftspeople who've just been doing what they do. But I also think that the fact that we're taking ownership of our stories and we like saying, wait, hold on, we're not that, this is who we are, let me tell you a bit about who we are. Maybe we're also taking part in engaging more in the conversation of defining ourselves. So I think that's what's happening. And the fact that now we have social media, which means that we can engage with people overseas who have never even visited Africa, right? But now they can start getting a sense of, oh, is this what the design scene is like in South Africa or Ghana or Dakar, right? And they start getting the truth because it's coming from our mouths, and we as the people living here telling those stories, we are directing those stories, and we are in charge of those stories, and we're telling those truths. And a lot of people are waking up to the fact that Africa is just magic. And that's it.